Okay. Name of this is going to be Who Wants to Be a Chess Master? So, we're going to talk about some different things and different ways to study and different concepts in chess. So, one of the main things that we're going to do is something you can't replace, and that's understanding. And usually it takes hard work to have understanding. You can't just wish it. It's not a whim. You've got to put in some work. Now, computers, we're in the computer age now, so the computers can replace hard work if you know how to use them right. This is going to be an old school presentation where we're going to use books the way that they used to be. We're going to first talk about what chess is, go over some chess strategy, because chess is a game of strategy, and we're going to talk about objective reality and things like of that nature. So, all right, let's start at the beginning, which is learning the openings. Now we have a book here, Encyclopedia of Chess Openings, and there's a set of 5, and what you want to do is figure out what openings you want to play. There's so many pages, you can find your favorite variation or your favorite player's variations, and you actually got to open the book, study it up, play over the games, play over the opening moves, get an understanding of what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish strategy-wise in these openings. And the more objective you are, the better player you'll be. For example, if you think a pawn is worth more than a rook, or a rook is worth more than a queen, you're going to have some problems that you'll have to resolve before you can move forward. So you got to understand the value of the pieces. You've got to understand the concepts of time, some war concepts of attack, defense, these kind of concepts. You got to know what your objective is. You're trying to capture some ground, some space, just like in warfare. And just like in warfare, there's a winner and a loser. There's no, it's not a win-win game, it's a zero-sum game. So, singing Kumbaya around the campfire is not going to get you to be a chess master in this game. So, like I say, you've got to be very objective. You can't be subjective. You can't just believe that your position's okay, or you believe that the guy's not crushing your soul, attacking your king. Just wishing it not going to get it. So you have to be very objective. The more objective you are, the better results you'll have. So that's kind of where I'm at on that. So, and the computers are very unbiased, so they're good at objectively evaluating a position. So if you have access to a computer, there's many chess programs that you can do, that you can use for your benefit, and that will give you an objective evaluation of a certain position and moves going forward. So that's basically the opening. Now we're going to talk about the middle game. The middle game concepts. Okay. The most common, now here's a book, for example. This is the Anthology of Chess Combinations. Has a lot of different concepts. You can go, basically, the most common way to win something in chess, take the guy's pieces, is the double attack. That's where you have 2 threats at once, Your opponent can only defend one of them, so you get to take something on your next move. That's the most common way to win material. Winning material is excellent. That's how you take the guy's pieces, and eventually, another way is you could sacrifice some of your pieces if you can get a checkmate. That's another way to win. So you may sacrifice some heavy material, and if you can get a checkmate going or an attack, that leads to checkmate. Some other things are some other concepts of middle game tactics are like a fork. A knight is good, forking two things. You might have something like this, but again, this is going into the idea of a double attack. And then you might have a pinning situation with a bishop, where you've got a heavy piece here, and you've got the bishop pinning. That's also strong. If the piece you're pinning is more valuable than the piece that's doing the pinning, which is a bishop usually, then you'll come out material ahead. So these are some common tactics. There's probably about 20 that you can become familiar with, but you're going to have to do some work. And the work is opening up a certain section of a book on tactics and doing the exercises. There's plenty of exercises to do. And they're all on different concepts. There could be interception, pawn promotion, attack, a sacrifice. It could be a lot of different things. So get familiar with all the different types of middle game tactics and combinations, and try to understand the tactics behind it and the concepts. And this is an excellent book. Like I say, it's the anthology of chess combinations, also from the Chess Informant series. Excellent book. You can also go on chesstempo.com. They have excellent work you can do. And next we're going to go to the endgame. Endgame. All right, we're talking about some endgame. Excellent book, Reuben Fine's Basic Chess Endings. Be familiar with the different type of endings. That's after you've gone through the opening phase and the middle game section of your game. You might wind up with just a few pieces. Some good concepts to know are like in rook and pawn end games. Building a bridge would be a good thing to start with. And king on the 6th, pawn on the 5th, always a win. Very important. Which is king on the 6th rank here, pawn on the 5th, just the kings. This would be an example. No matter what's going on in this position, king on the 6th, pawn on the 5th, no matter whose move, white or black, always a win. It's important to know these certain positions like the Lucena position and Philidor position, these kind of things. You can all find that in a nice book by Reuben Fine, Basic Chess Endings. Or you can use a computer hash table or database on the computer, also good. That about covers the end game. Now, after you get done with those things, you can put in your time and your work, maybe 10 minutes a day on each thing, each subject. You just have to know what you're studying that's good. Don't waste time studying useless information, which is what a lot of people do at the beginning. They don't really know what to do or what to study. So that's why I'm making this video, telling you what to study, so you don't waste your time. Moving forward, after you learn how to play a little bit, you can study the great players, which are the world champions from the past. One of my favorite players to study is Garry Kasparov. And, there's big books like this. They got a lot of his games in there. He's just brilliant games. I love his style. So you might study him, or you might study Bobby Fischer or Mikhail Tal, or any world champion really that fits your style, that you enjoy their style, whether they be a flamboyant attacker or a solid defender or a very creative player or a very technical player like a Mikhail Botvinnik or somebody like that. So learn who you are and what you want to do in chess. Develop your own personality, your own style, and try to match it to the world champion that maybe exemplifies that style so that you can be successful. And that's the way to do it. And then finally, we are moving on to some interesting thing. Maybe, like I say, this is kind of like a war game. So, you might study something like Sun Tzu, and there's some concepts of warfare that are important as it relates to chess, because what I'll notice is, most beginners are not using their whole army force as a coherent unit of force. And they might just, they go out here with the general, which is the queen, which is the strongest piece, and they'll just go crazy, and try to mop up everything. Well, imagine sending General Patton out there on the battlefield just by himself against an opposing force. Not going to work out too good. So that strategy's out. We want to do team coordination, okay, efficiency. You got to learn the concepts of team. We're going to go as a group, or we're going to have a plan, and everybody's going to participate in the plan, including the little pawns, and you want to stay safe at the same time when you're taking a risk. You got to know where you're at. You want to go as a team, and it may involve some sacrifices of your forces, but as long as you can achieve the ultimate victory for your team, then some sacrificing is okay. And you might be successful with a blitzkrieg attack, like in World War II, or these kind of concepts. You could attack where you have a predominance of force. You could also outmaneuver, get behind enemy lines. These are all kinds of war concepts. If you understand warfare, that you're likely to be more successful in chess. So, let's not forget that this has some war concept components to it. And one of the concepts that would be helpful for beginning players philosophically, which is important in a lot of other aspects in life too, is to get outside of oneself. In other words, let's not be so solipsistic in that you're the only one that's in this world, because you have an opponent that you're playing against, and they have plans of their own, and they're trying to kill you. So let's never forget that. So while you're thinking about what you're doing, you should also get outside of yourself and think of what the opponent is trying to do to you. So in that way, that's what I'm saying, to get outside of yourself and ask yourself a question from their point of view. What are they trying to do to me? You already know what you're trying to do to them. So let's kind of reverse that and get a different kind of concept going that way. So overall, if you got the right philosophy down, and you know yourself, like you're an attacker, you know how to attack. So go with who you are. So just find the openings that are attacking, or maybe you're a risk-averse type of person. You don't like to take risks. You like to be real solid all the time, like a Petrosian. Well, then you need to find openings that are solid and passive and resilient. So you got to know what you're trying to do, who you are, what you're trying to do. for your objectives. And one important concept comes from the series Breaking Bad, which is one of my favorite series. You can learn a lot of concepts. And one of the concepts is never make the same mistake twice. That was a piece of advice that Gus Fring gave to Walter White. Don't make the same mistake twice. So you got to learn from your mistakes in chess. Repeating them twice or more is just wasting time, and you don't want to waste time. I mean, time is important in chess. Initiative, space, time. Some of these concepts are very important. Do you have time to execute all your intentions, or do you not? Or you don't know? So, also from Breaking Bad, the no half measures. Mike Ehrmantraut said, he told Walter White the story that he'd done things on a half measure, half-assed, you might say. When you're in chess, half-ass ain't gonna cut it. So you're gonna have to go all the way. If you're going to attack, you're gonna commit to attacking all the way until you get victory. If you're gonna turn back or do a half measure, usually there's going to be a problem. There's going to be a counterattack coming your way, and you're not going to be successful. So all these concepts are good. This is how you want to play. And overall, this presentation just gives you an idea of how to study. You're going to have to put in some work. You can't just wish to be a master at chess, because that would be subjectivism. And we all know subjectivism sucks, okay? This is a game of objective reality, not what you think is going on, not what I wish is going on, what is going on. And that brings us to the end. So you have a lot to work with here, but you're going to have to do some hard work. And that's what chess is. That's what any goal is in life. Hard work. And that's that. And good luck in your chess.